Hi, this is János, and this is going to be a hands-on video, and this is for those of you who have a 5D Classic and or maybe are thinking about getting one and wondering about the mirror falling off issue, how big of an issue it is, or if the mirror falls off, can you fix it, or is it fixable, or something that you should not be bothering about. So essentially, when you want to buy a 5D Mark 1 or 5D Classic camera, the early versions, the first 2 years they manufactured them, they used a weak glue that actually held for quite a few years, but now these cameras are pushing 20 years of production, with released in 2005. Now it's 2024, almost coming to 20 years, and they did not think the glue should last that long. And of course, many of the mirrors by now are falling off from these early cameras. Later on, actually they started using a stronger glue. So if you are getting one of the models that was manufactured in later years that have higher serial numbers, then you won't run into the issue of the mirror falling off. But as I had with my camera, actually that's what I experienced as well. So I found in Japan this camera which was one of the earliest models, and in a pristine condition. When I received it, I thought I got a brand new camera. It also had firmware version 1.00, so it's as early as it gets. And of course, I was starting taking photos with it, and I think at photo number 28 my mirror fell off. And how I noticed that is that after one shot the picture looked wonky. So when I was looking through the viewfinder, then the picture was askew. And I thought that, what's happening here? I had no idea what's going on. I took one more shot. The picture was askew again, but at a different angle. And stupid me, I took a third shot, and then after that I heard the mirror clack on the inside, like a piece of glass rattling around, and I didn't see anything in the viewfinder. And sure enough, when I took off the lens, then I saw that the mirror fell off. And now this is where I'm continuing. Basically, this is my first attempt at doing anything like that. I am not a professional camera repairman. I watched a few YouTube videos and I'm attempting to do the same. So you see, there is the mirror, and it's not in its place. It's sticking out. It's sticking out. That's the thing in the middle. Underneath, that's the bracket that's holding the mirror, and the mirror is not sitting there. So now I'm just propping it up, and as you see, I'm wearing gloves so as not to introduce any oils from my skin. You will need some Q-tips, and I'm propping it up to have a better viewing angle for the camera and myself as well. So now I'm taking off the mirror. You can take it off easily, it's not attached to anything. And as you see, well, when I will finally, there it is. So you see, that's how the mirror looks like. It's a mirror, and it has that black backing, and it leaves that central crosshair shaped part. That's where the light goes through, and the rest is like not transparent, and there are those 4 dots on the other side. That's where the glue will go. So right now I'm just at this point figuring out what I shall do with it, and first just get some alcohol and wipe it clean. So wipe it clean of any potential contamination that is there, like dust particles, fluff, those kind of things, or maybe any kind of grease. any foreign particles, just gently clean it. And here you see I wasn't very good, I just used regular paper towel, but these things are not really the best. These are not optical grade. If you have like optical grade cleaning paper, it looks like tissue, and it looks something like really rough, but it's much better because it won't scratch the lens. And stupidly enough, I have that kind of optical tissue, but I totally forgot about it. I haven't used that in a decade. I used to use those when I was working with a confocal microscope in the lab. And by the time I'm finishing this video, I remember that I had some of that as well. So anyway, if I could go back in time, I would use that on the mirror, but here we are. So in the meanwhile, I also cleaned up the bracket that holds the mirror. That's that black plastic part towards the bottom on the inside. So now both surfaces are clean and there's no hairs, no dust, nothing in there. And as you see, maybe you can see as well that it looks much cleaner than it did before the alcohol cleaning. So I think this is something that I have not seen on the DIY YouTube videos when people clean their mirrors. I didn't see them doing this extra cleaning step, but I did it myself, and I recommend doing it. Just make sure that you do not just soak your Q-tip too much, so you don't want to dunk your camera in alcohol, you just want to clean the surfaces. So whenever you apply any kind of chemicals, just use it with moderation. That's my advice. As a layman, I'm not a camera manufacturer or repair person. This is strictly just my experience that I had for myself. It might be usable, and hopefully if camera repair techs watch it, they might comment on it if I did well or not. Now I'm just shaking the camera and trying to see if there's any kind of dirt or dust or fluff that just stuck inside that compartment to get it out. I don't know how effective that is. Probably there would be better ways of doing that than what I was doing here. And I'm just visually inspecting if there's any dust. I didn't see anything, so now I'm putting it back and just putting it in place. And after that, what I'm going to do is just get some glue. There's also some glue that people recommend, some sort of glue that they use for cameras. I don't have that, so I used Gorilla Glue, the clear, regular Gorilla Glue. And just FYI, I made this video exactly a year ago, so I have been using the camera since for an entire year, and it's still holding, so I think I can recommend it to use this kind of glue if you don't have that special camera glue for you. This will work as well. The only thing with the Gorilla Glue is that it takes quite a long time, several hours to dry properly. So you will just have to prepare for that. Just do it like in the afternoon, in the evening, so it can dry overnight, and then next morning you can try out how it worked. So at this point I'm trying to figure out whether to use that spout or not. In the end I just figure out that I'm going to toss it because it's not going through too well. Let's see if I can forward the video to that point. I think yes. That's the point when I realize it's better if I just apply it directly. And here the trick is don't put too much, just put as little as possible. If you put a little bit more than you wanted, than the absolute minimum, don't worry, you can remove it later on, and I show you how. At this point just try to put those 4 dabs of glue at the same spot where the original glue spots were. And it's very easy to locate them because they are those dark black spots, the 4 dots there, and just add glue there. So you also put glue on the same spot where they originally had the glue. But now we are going to use a little stronger glue than they originally did. And there you see, now I'm using a Q-tip to smear those dots. So we have as little glue there as possible, because if you put too much glue, then the mirror will stick out, and that will interfere with the focusing of the camera. So that's why you want as little glue on it as possible, because you want to be able to put back the mirror into the same plane where it originally was. If you put too much glue on it, it will stick out, so it will be in a different plane, so it will make the camera focus to a different position. So you see, I'm just taking off even a little bit more from the glue that's there, as little as possible, and just turn it around and put it back. And here it looks like more complicated than it is. Just the only thing that you should worry about is just don't touch the glue, so you don't want to glue your hand or your glove to the mirror. And then actually aligning it to the bracket was really easy. I feared it will be really hard, but it was much easier. It was the easiest step of the whole thing, really. And whatever proceeded, it is not rocket science either. So I think even if someone has the coordination skills of a 7-year-old, you can already do this. This is really not involving. Now this is that special paper that I was talking about, that camera, the lens cleaning paper. If you have it, just clean the mirror with this. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting a piece there because I'm going to put weight on the mirror. And with that, I really don't want anything to scratch the mirror. If you put weight on the mirror, it might scratch it, so I don't want that. So that's why I put that special paper there. I would say also, like, if you just have like some regular paper towel, that will be fine too. You don't really have to worry that you will scratch the lens. But at this point, I just find it, so why not use it and talk about it? So I put just that little bug on top. That was the only thing around my box, around my desk, that was of the approximate size that I could just fit in there, and I just let it like that just stay there overnight and wait for the glue to strengthen. So that's my little adventure. Now the video started again from the beginning. So essentially next day it looked just like this, and I put on a lens and I'm shooting with it ever since. At one point I was worried that I did a bad job because I have an EF 28mm USM lens, you know, the one which is f1.8. It's a very cheap wide-angle lens from Canon, and however, everyone says that it's not a very sharp lens, and indeed it was not sharp, but in the beginning I really suspected that maybe it's not that sharp because I glued the mirror in a wrong way, so that's why it keeps on missing the focal plane. Because my problem that I realized with that lens was that it wasn't just the sharpest bunch in the litter box, but it missed the focal plane. So I focused on specific areas and it wasn't focusing there. And when I looked at DPP4, which shows you where the camera focused and where the focal plane is, there were always small discrepancies. And I thought that probably it was me gluing the mirror back to the wrong spot. And then later on I got a Sigma Art lens, the 35mm Sigma Art lens, and with that lens the camera focuses razor sharp. So eventually it was not the problem of the lens. I glued it back to its proper space, proper position, and it's just that lens, that EF 28mm is not focusing properly. But that's what my research turned out about the camera lens and body combinations, that really there are with some lenses you might need some micro adjustments because the focal plane is a little bit off compared to what the camera thinks. And when you have a camera such as the 5D Mark II, the 5D Mark II there you can micro adjust the focus to your lens. And with the Mark III, Mark IV as well. However, sadly, with the 5D Classic, there are no micro adjustments available. So if the only way to get that not properly focusing lens adjusted is to send it to the manufacturer and have it recalibrated, and then it will work properly with your camera. However, with here, why I can say that it works as intended, because with a lens like the Sigma Art 35mm f1.4, which has the reputation to be an excellent sharp lens, it just focuses just phenomenally well. It's like it's just so much better that it totally elevated my camera experience to the next level. But that's for another video. I'm going to talk about that lens the next time, and that lens was just such a huge impact for me that literally before that lens I was thinking that I love the 5D Classic, but it has quite a few limitations and I need to upgrade my camera. However, with that lens I have realized that the camera is fine. I just needed to upgrade the lens. So I hope this little bit of video will help you, maybe some of you, to decide to go for the 5D Classic and don't worry about the falling off mirror, because the only thing you will need is a little bit of glue, Gorilla Glue, a few Q-tips and a little bit of rubbing alcohol. That's it. Bye bye.